Let's kind of continue with how to channel, how to improve your channeling, how to improve your meditation, or anything that you would like to do spiritually. And this video is about self-esteem, self-worth, and getting out of negativity. Um, I've noticed there is a whole bunch of spiritual people that are wounded, like a spiritual wound. And then we have the wounded healer archetype. And the wounded healer archetype isn't necessary, but it just seems to be within the pattern of humanity right now. Um, but working with the chakra system, having a healthy third chakra, a healthy sense of self worth and self appreciation is really important. Now, I'm just going to interject. The reason why I don't use the word love anymore, like it's all love and isn't this all about love and oneness, is because one, it's overused. And I find the word love is a very surface level word that's very triggering. Um, I remember some negative things going down, and the people who are doing these negative things were also telling me that they loved me. So that you can see how the word love can be very triggering. There's also the thing called love bombing. So love is very superficial. It's overused in our culture. It's overused in movies. And really it means seeking validation. A lot of times it means a person saying I love you is actually seeking validation. Underneath they might be saying don't leave me. So it comes off very clingy and it totally misses the point. And the fact that we use words to express something that we're feeling inside is a poor translation, but it makes it it actually does the opposite. It creates a barrier because now we've brought our mind because it heard these words and we're trying to process it. There's so much stigma around the word love, like, oh, they said the love word, are we officially dating, or now it's become serious. So there's all this programming with the word love, and yet people will overuse it or they won't say it when it's appropriate. And when we start getting into like male and female psychology and mating psychology, we find out the the male programmed mind versus the female programmed mind, and we find out that men, and I would say people programmed with a male mind, gender, whatever, right? People who really identify with a programmed male mind, love isn't that important. That's not what they're seeking, the validation of love. What they're seeking is the validation of respect. So, where the female programmed mind, gender, whatever, doesn't matter. We're just saying the mind that's programming geared towards the female programming of our society tends to want to hear the words I love you and you are loved, and it translates into value. They want to feel valued. It creates a sense of security. So where men want to be respected and valued, women want security and a sense of that security. And we could say that goes all the way into, I'm going to have these children. I'm going to be vulnerable. Will you protect me? Will there be someone around to ward off enemies or support me when I'm hurt or broken? Who knows, like how primal uh, uh, relationship dynamics go. But the word love is seen differently, or has been so warped and misused. It's I think it's become a negative word. Like, and everything is subject to your own interpretations. But since we're on this subject, and I probably totally diverted whatever. Oh yes, we were talking about self-esteem and all that stuff. yeah. Where are we going with this, Onyx? We are going to, when you have a really healthy sense of self, you genuinely appreciate yourself, you generally feel joy to be you, authentically you, uh, that's a really good sign of a healthy third chakra. And then the byproduct of that, all that warmth and healthy, good feeling, is a healthy heart chakra, healthy fourth chakra. And so the it's like the foundation of a really good heart chakra is a good third solar plex chakra. The solar plex chakra is where we feel joy, where we also would feel fear. And, and so that fight or flight response when the adrenals kick in, that is actually the third chakra. So, for this video, we're really kind of specifically focusing on joy. And so things that are out of balance would be having a negative view on life. Like the sun isn't shining, the world is black and white. It looks like Gotham City all the time. It's a dark place to be, really signals an out of balance third chakra. And all of them work together, uh, you know, but for channeling, whatever emotional state you're in, whatever mental state you're in, um, allows you to only see so much possibility. So you can get a very narrow, myopic view when you come from a negative background and you have a pessimistic view on life. And you're like, no, I don't. But then when it comes to yourself, you do. A lot of us work so hard people pleasing and being a do-gooder out into the world, love and light, I want to heal the world, but we neglect ourselves and our own healing, and we don't realize it because we're in the feel good of giving. But then when you really look at it, we're not good at receiving. And so the heart chakra is where the giving and the receiving takes place, you know. But that foundation is that third chakra of a healthy sense of self. So a clue might be you doubt yourself. You get nervous and afraid. You have anxiety about facing a so called tough situation, getting up and speaking in front of class. That's a sign that you actually don't value and appreciate and love yourself enough. And so you're not feeling joy, you're feeling fear. You mistrust yourself. You have a lot of belief in your inability to do things. In fear, you would be feeling helpless, a strong sense of helplessness instead of a, a strong sense of I can. It's really not believing in yourself. And that's all third chakra. If you truly believed in yourself. So, always needing help, being codependent, needing a therapist all the time, needing a second opinion. It's Are these things bad? No. But when you know you're doing it a lot, you probably doubt your own mind. You doubt your own instincts. You doubt your feelings. You doubt who you are and your place in this world. That's third chakra. And so, with all these um, inabilities, it makes your readings also disabled. You're seeing the world through a clouded glass, You're not seeing it clearly. You're not seeing the full potential. You're seeing half the picture. You might be so even just this morning's self-reflections when I was going through what I was labeling what was for me a negative experience, I'm like, where did I go with that? I kind of lost my focus for a moment. Oh, being critical. I'm like, sometimes I'm super critical. I'm like, where did this come from? You know? And the situation I was having had nothing to do with that, but I had a strong repulse reaction to like block someone out of my life and not honor their values. And I was like, who is this? Is this me? Is this a part of me? Where did this come from? When did I start down this road? And I'm like, well, my own personal victim story, then it made me hyper vigilant, which then makes you critical. You're always looking for a potential threat in other people and in the world to know how to act to survive it. And so, out of survival instinct, this critical part of my personality developed and was seeing, and it's like, dude, you're an adult now. You can let that go and you've acquired other skills to manage life. So you're a little excessive with the criticism. And is that really how you want to see the world? Is that limiting your endless possibility? Is that limiting your view? Is it blinding you? Is it giving you too much of a myopic, pessimistic point of view? And do you need that? Once I saw through that, I was able to break through. And so that's kind of what the inner work looks like. And then that translates into better readings because instead of only seeing 1 or 2 doors, you see 5 doors, you see 10 doors. And so the third chakra is really important when you're using the emotional vibration scale of consciousness. Whatever you're vibing at, that level of consciousness is what you see, is the possibilities. So, one reason why people can't just hang out with angels is because their emotions are all over the place. They indulge in negative feelings, they indulge in negative thoughts. They have personal bias and prejudice and built in negative beliefs that they've absorbed through society that maybe exclude a certain gender, a certain age, or a certain economical value. Besides that being polarizing, it carries an energetic weight and it dims your light and it clogs the energetic flow of energy. And then you find yourself creating a filter that blocks out a lot of information. So if energy is just information, you're not using the full spectrum. You're not. So it takes a lot of work to maintain or to go beyond natural talent to professional level or and even transcend professional level, which I would say is the sage level, where you just work for source. Okay, so I'm just saying the third chakra having, and it takes a while, and like who am I to talk, right? And I'm like, yeah, I realized being in a socially non-accepted group growing up, stigmatized group, uh, receiving so much negative from the outer world, from family, from religion, from school, being an outcast, playing that role for a while, obviously, to see what it feels like. Um, it affected my self-image when all the mirrors are being critical of you, when all the mirrors are saying, uh, your shoe gum, you kind of tend to believe it. It's when all these mirrors are giving you false feedback because the programming in society is pretty toxic, and you're just so open. It's confusing, but sometimes you give into it. Sometimes the weight of it, you know, being damned for being born is kind of a hard um, kind of a hard path, you know. And it's kind of a mixed bag of things, because with that I was also super spiritually blessed. I always had a connection to spirit and spirit, an expanded bandwidth, uh, and able to pick up on spiritual information. I've always had a connection and an interest in psychic abilities and magic and things like that. So it's my path, you know. So the negatives were definitely clarifying teachers for me. I come full circle, and it's like, you know, it helps create empathy, it helps create understanding, and it also even helps create respect for the human experience. Um, but then it also became a driving force, because today, when I was out of balance, I, I go to my meditation practice, and I think it's not working, in a pinch, emergency first aid kit. What are you going to do? Let's meditate. Well, guess what? It worked, because I had years of practice behind me. Like, did it work as totally expected? No, but then it never does. And it always delivers gems randomly, unexpected, wonderful surprises. And it definitely delivered some unexpected, wonderful surprises. But that wasn't going to happen today unless I put in the work, you know? So, so third chakra, I'm proud of it. And I'm delighted to be who I am. And I'm delighted to live the story that I lived and develop the strength through the hardships. It's created a lot of great character. So there's a natural, healthy self esteem. And looking back on my life, I can laugh at some of the parts and see how ridiculous I was. I can look back and be charmed and be amused and delighted and entertained at the crazy character that I've played on stage. Um, because, like, on one level, no one really knows you and what you're about. You do. So, learning to be your best friend, um, through a healthy sense of third chakra, um, eliminates needing external validation, eliminates people pleasing, which actually comes into reading, because when information's coming to you that's not pleasant, that you're supposed to tell your client or the world, when the truth in your heart, um, may be seen as a negative, you have enough self-worth, you have enough personal pride, you have enough understanding of you and joy and positive feelings, honestly, that it's no loss to you. You will say, you will do what you're motivated to do from that higher power. So, you'll have the courage to shine your light. You'll also have the courage to turn up the heat and get real, you know? And so I have a really, really good friend. She's super psychic. And I notice that she's kind of dishonest. And I call her out on it. And then, she's like, well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Well, I don't want to start a conflict. Well, I'm like, well, you're not being honest then. And that honesty, I like to say, is rooted in the second chakra. So we see they're all interrelated. Uh, you know, when you're willing to be authentic and honest. And that really has to go with how you actually feel, you know? And so that's why it's second chakra. It's like these gut feelings need to be honored. And if you have a strong self esteem, you can say and move, you can support the way you feel. You can defend. You can stand up. You can be proud of your honesty, of your truth. Then even when it's coming from a higher power, you can stand up and back it up. You don't need to be a sheep. You don't need to lie down. You don't need to say it. Like there's nothing to lose, uh, because you're complete within yourself. So they're all very interconnected, and it's these lower three that we really work hard at clearing out. They don't turn off, they don't disappear. They become clarified and shine a beautiful color that they are in full. Uh, so they work down, they work up. Having a natural enjoyment for yourself kind of automatically makes you not codependent and throws you back into positive polarity and energy exchange within your relationships. The second chakra, so we have wants and needs and desires. Those are all part of the lower three chakras. And when you're living on the positive polarity of those, you can meet your own needs, wants, and desires. And you don't need it from outside. You're not outwardly seeking. And when you're outwardly seeking, then there's a sacrifice and there's a fear of not getting what you want because you feel like you need it. Why do you want it? Because you feel like you need it. Why do you need it? Because you don't know. You haven't realized you are it. You have it within you. I am that I am. So you're wanting relationships to validate you. You're wanting relationships to please you in so many various ways on all different levels. And you're seeking a security through energy exchange and relationships. This all happens with the lower chakras. So we don't really know what love is because everyone's playing out of their lower chakras out of need, lack, and out of their voids, out of the stuff that needs to be fulfilled. And the fastest way to fulfill yourself is to be your own sunshine. And that doesn't mean be happy and turn a blind eye. It means shine that light in those dark places, turn up the heat, learn self-appreciation, learn value so you can live. So kind of wrapping it up back to the beginning of the story. The reason why I don't use the word love is because I found better words, and I recently realized the whole purpose of Life Onyx wasn't to solve everyone's problems and heal the world. For you, Onyx, was to live in joy. I'm like, yeah, coming kind of from a negative childhood, that went right over my head. So now it's time to live in joy. The purpose is living in joy. So, third chakra. And so one of the words to replace word love is joy. That could be also entertainment and celebration. Another word for so instead of saying I love you, you could say I am so entertained by you. I'm really, celebrating this time we have together instead of I love you, or I feel so much joy being with you. Our time together was very fulfilling, very joyful for me. And that is such a different response than dropping that big L word, the scary L word that means whatever. So sharing is another great word instead of love you. You're like, sharing is like relating and energy exchange. So you could say, so anything like that. And usually with energy exchange, there's transformation. Care, kindness, support. You could say, oh, I really feel emotionally supported when you were listening to me. I feel supported instead of I feel loved. It's like, okay. Care. And these words don't have to be spoken. You can now see love comes in different ways. When you're feeling joy, you're actually feeling love. When you're sharing, those are acts of love. And giving and receiving are two opposite, two opposite sides of the same thing. To receive is love. Don't be a good receiver, because that's how they receive love. Bizarre. Be a good giver, because that's how you receive love or give love. So giving and receiving can be flipped. Someone can feel really loved by receiving. Someone can feel really loved by you receiving what they give you. So I remember one of the last persons I considered dating, I said, thank you for receiving what I had to give, which was all these words of wisdom, my insights, my time. Because the last person I broke up with didn't want to receive it. Like, it was triggering for them, or they just didn't care. So then I felt unloved because they weren't receiving. This person received, therefore I felt valuable. Going back to those primal. So that could be of objects, it could be of time, energy, words, conversation, give and take. I listen well. I'm a good receiver. In the receiving, there is a giving. In the giving, there is a receiving. So, pleasure, emotions. You can go into real words, of these different types of emotions you are feeling, and these different types of positive emotions you're feeling, aka pleasures. Beauty is another word for love. You're so beautiful. Isn't that the same thing as you're so lovely? So, so when something is lovely, we say it's beautiful, it's awe-inspiring, it's precious. These are more words you could, that was a precious moment, or that was a funny, precious look. So you can mix and match, and it creates a dimension to your vocabulary. So this is what's missing in a lot of Western communication style, is dimension. We've really kind of like whittled down our words to just corporate words, or just everyday conversation words. We've really lost the breadth and the dimension of words that we can be using. Things kind of got more technical as we've kind of moved into that age, and then we lose the poetry of the heart. We lose the beautiful, softer expressions that everyone is actually receptive to. So it would be funny that the word precious might actually stick in someone's mind. They'd be like, because it's not every day you hear that. They just said, oh, I liked that. That was nice. That looked good. That looks great. Instead of, but anyways, let's move on. Gratitude, appreciation. They're all words for value. And we kind of like in the conversation kind of express that. But when you're really grateful, you feel blessed, honestly. You feel chosen. You feel like the universe is laying it out for you. Like, this is the type of gratitude I'm talking about. And isn't that love, when the universe is just giving and giving and giving, setting up your whole life story? It has been and always will. But so the attitude of gratitude and words of appreciation go so far, instead of just the superficial generic word called love, So you could really express your gratitude. You can show your gratitude. You can demonstrate your gratitude. You could live in a state of gratitude, and which is also the same as receivership. So here we are so now let's tie this all together with leveling up our psychic readings, our channeling, our spirituality. Do you really understand like how powerful it is to feel so grateful to be you, and how that puts like a boundary around you, casts a magic circle of gold around you, where you are blessed and you feel grateful. So it's like, I don't need protection because me and the universe, we got this. I don't need to know the future. It's like, I am the future because me and the universe got this, you know? And so, feeling so blessed, feeling so grateful, feeling so much appreciation, these are different perspectives or views on the word love. And it creates so much more nuance, so much more richness, so much more depth, that now you're living a multidimensional experience of love. And it wasn't like out of this world calculations of fourth and fifth density and dimensions and what would those shapes look like. You just changed your language, you leveled up, you just filled it out, height, width, and depth instead of just flat. But energetically, it opens you up, it expands your consciousness, and it makes you, uh, besides making you a pillar of light and love and wisdom, consciousness and energy, like you become it. Like you merge with that source of information. You are the moment, you are the now. So the subject and object become one. Like everything that you're looking for. I call it the golden mirror. So I think the world of illusions where you want and need things and get confused is a silver mirror. But once you level up into that healthy third chakra energy, obviously you become fearless because you're full of gratitude and appreciation and understanding, and you're savoring the good vibes of knowing everything negative in your life sets you up to learn powerful lessons that just propelled you forward. And so it actually helped you out. So there was no negative. Like it was all good. It's all good. It's all love. Uh, Once you're like on that level, you're just automatically protected. You just, you feel a level of invincibility, and it's a healthy sense of self-worth. So now that you're shining brighter and vibing, you can hold a higher frequency and you can see farther in that plane of existence that you're vibing at. So the emotional vibrational scale is kind of like an elevator. And when you're at that level, you're on that floor, you have access to that whole floor. So, and you can learn to maintain it. You can learn to have that be your new normal. Uh, so, and then, there's like an unlimited supply. You can train yourself to feel gratitude